Okay. Uh, Hello to all members of SUG Chennai. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. I welcome you all to the webinar on Sitecore Content Cloud, the multiple phases of content authoring with our esteemed guest speaker, Ishraq, who is a Sitecore MVP and founder and CTO at Apple's Tech. I thank you all for joining us in this exciting webinar, and I thank Ishraq for accepting to share her expertise and taking time out of her busy schedule. Let's get ready to embark on an enlightening journey on Sitecore Content Cloud with Ishraq. The stage is all yours, Ishraq.
Thank you, Kathleen. Thanks everyone for having me today. I just really want to extend my thanks to you and everyone at Section 9 for giving me always the platform to talk and share more as I learn about the Sitecore ecosystem. And I think the main reason why I've picked up this topic, um, last week I had with the client that I work with, we have a monthly meeting. We discuss between different departments, what everyone is doing. And I took that time to share a little bit where the entire world is going, right? And I think if we look into this slide, I think everyone just know this by heart. We've been talking about this for the past 3 years, I think, for now. And this is still something that not many of our clients are really um, into or understand the diversity of all of these uh, platforms and offerings and the kind of feeling that I got when talking with them, especially some of them comes from sales, some of them comes from marketing, some of them comes from commerce and all of that. And a common one or a common theme of the feedback was, okay, we've been with Sitecore for a long time now. And as the technology changes, we can't just jump into the next tech, right? That is, everyone is jumping to. If we look into, and I know that many of you already been within the Sitecore journey and .NET um, and development in general, we have seen a lot of changes over the past 20 to 30 years, and everything just evolves. For me, when I look into this diagram, it just takes me back to maybe 15, 20 years when Sitecore came in, and the solution or the approach that everyone was trying to adapt, what was Sitecore's selling point, is having a single platform that does everything, right? So the whole idea was instead of buying an X number of products to build your entire ecosystem as a customer, as a client, right? You can just buy a single platform and a single platform that does everything. This is where XP came in. It's used as a CMS. It's used as the assets management. It's used for personalization. It's used for marketing. We even been able to add commerce on top of that. But the question was, okay, so we've been doing this for the past 15 years. What has changed? Well, now it feels like we're stepping back in time, and um, there is no guarantee in the next 5 to 10 years we want to go back and say like, no, what is the next best thing is just go back and have everything within a single landscape. So the idea or what I want to come um, out of this session and with many of the discussions that I have within my team, with the community, or even with our clients, is that when we look into all of the new things that Sitecore came up with, I know like this is missing XP and XM, but imagine it's out there, is that all of these are options. So it's not a time where we tell everyone just ditch XP and jump into all of these, right? When I look into this, I only think about what other options I have that I can move on or I can leverage. So the whole premise behind this is when you look, and I'm pretty sure many of you already, if you just go now and think from today, past 3 years, how many of your clients or the customers that you work with actually moved to XM Cloud? How many of them, even from the inception of Content Hub, they even bother to buy it, right? When you look between what we see everywhere and reality, it everything just leans towards XP. Would this change in the next 5 to 10 years? Things are changing, this is for sure. And I'm pretty sure many of you, during your discussions, everyone is talking about moving to headless. I've looked into your previous seminars this year as well, and you had the sessions with Rob, and you talked about composable, right? So there is some sort of new directions around composability, around moving from monolith to some sort of headless, all of that, and that everyone is adapting, whether you are on XP or not. So the whole idea is that you as a developer, you as an architect, think about where is the future is going, and at the same time, find your footing. One of the things I've seen over the past couple of years, lots of kind of fear that backend developers will have no future within these new changes. Everything is moving towards headless. Everyone is hiring front end developers. When you look into under the hood, there's lots and lots of need for a front end that's able to integrate whatever front end library within these existing solutions. And then there is no footing for backend developers anymore. So I just want to, by the end, after we finish the session, is just to look into this and see, no, we still have value. There is a footing for us, and that there is different options, and you can own and define what works best for your clients. Not just because everyone is talking about all of these solutions, it means we have to recommend them. It's a process. It's about understanding all of these options, and this is the start of this presentation. So if we look into the Content Cloud from the sense of how Sitecore did break this down. Because remember, if you look into XP, it does everything. So in order to come up with small syllable products or products that actually match what customer wants, Sitecore just simply broke this into three. Content management, so that regardless if this is a headless CMS or XML Cloud or whatever, you still have a product that's responsible for all of content authoring. This is always going to be the essence of any content offering. Digital asset management. This is has to do with moving all of your assets, managing your assets, and organizing from your content management into a third party, whether that's a DAM, whether that's the CDN, whatever that is. So Sarko broke that into another segment of your content cloud. And finally, the content operation. The content operation is a little bit kind of hard to explain in the sense of how we know things, because it's more of what is my content strategy. And I look into this, although it's broken down as a part of the offering that Hardcore uh, work with. If you go back and look into, I don't know, the past 10 years where I was giving sessions, I always had a constant slide about content strategy in every presentation I had. Because whatever we do, whatever we come up with the next best thing, with the latest and greatest in technology, if we don't build a very proper content architecture, we always end up with lots of issues. Things are not working. Someone comes up and say like Sitecore is not the good fit for us. But when in reality, if we have a proper content strategy, that means we can build everything around it. And this is what I want everyone to look at, is that content, regardless of whatever technology you're going to work with, even if you decide to go and learn front end now, or if you want to stick with what you already know, content still the main focus that you have to deal with. You understand that you figure out how to build proper content, then this is how you build your solutions. Everything else is just like an acquired skill. You can always learn something new in terms of technology. It's a change in syntax, but the strategic thinking of how things are happening, that's where you focus on. This is once you acquire that, it doesn't matter which application you work with, you can always deliver. So if we look into that composable or that all of the Sitecore options, I'm going to call them options from the first slide, and you think about it from uh, a composability. So composability is the ability to plug in and out, right? We always start with the need for a CMS that hosts or serves multiple websites or apps, whatever you want to call it, right? And then you have the need of you have now the media library is insanely big. You're dealing with, I think I've worked, and I'm currently working with one of our clients where the media size itself around 90 gig. And I think that many of you already been into that pain. And we don't even host that um, in a database. It used to be on AWS on an S3 bucket. We moved to Azure Blob, and assets or the sizes of the images always has been a pain. So you can just spin in a dam, and then now your content cloud is easily scaled out to add an extended system. I'm no longer in need for dam. I'm just moved everything to the BIM. So all of my products now are hosted on the BIM. Images are on the BIM. I can just stitch that dam layer, and I don't have to have like specific or special handling in my CMS to handle the dam. Same thing goes to your content operation. So the whole idea behind the content cloud and scaling your content offering is that ability to scale out and scale down based on your need. And what do I mean by your need? This is one of the main issues and many of you have been with all of your clients, right? To till date, I work with a B2B customer that doesn't use personalization, that doesn't leverage analytics whatsoever, but we are on XP. The idea of scaling back to XM is always like, what if we need to uh, do personalization in 2 to 3 years? I've been hearing this discussion for the past 5 years. And we've been just paying for an extra license for no apparent reason. So when we look into all of these are as options and not as you're not out there trying to sell XM Cloud. You're not out there trying to push one over the other. Your job is to listen to your customer, understand their need, and you decide what works based on their need. Not just because everyone now is talking XM Cloud, it means you have to jump into that bandwagon because XM Cloud might not be the right offering for you. Granted, if someone is you work with a big customer, enterprise level, they want a CMS, you might go with XM Cloud. That's the recommended practice, right? That's what everyone wants. But then this is where the caveats comes in. These where you have to think about, okay, how about compliance? How about regulations? We still work with banks, we still work with the financial sector, we still work with customers who have to own. They have security regulation, they have a compliance regulation. That means they still have to own the infrastructure. They have to own everything around it. So XM and XP is not going to go out because XM Cloud or the offering of a SaaS or the idea of SaaS is never going to replace that because certain regulations mean you always have going to have a tight grip around it. So this means not today, not in 5 years, not until they come up with a breakthrough where SaaS can be owned by customers, we are going to ditch XP. So XP or XM is still something we have to work with, we have to build around. Same thing with regulations. Not all country regulations are compliant with the whatever XM Cloud is doing. Now, it takes us back to scale. And I think uh, many of you have seen your customers scaling back and moving to WordPress. I've seen this 4 or 5 years ago, and many of the customers has been doing this migration back to WordPress because they end up having a brochure website, not much work they have to do with, and then they're bearing a lot for licensing. So with Content Hub 1 or with this headless CMS, the way of thinking, and this is where everyone's way of thinking has to shift. If you think about all of that with XP, with XM, every time we think about building a page or building content, we're continuously thinking about visualizing that, right? You're always, in a way or another, building for a website. You're thinking about, okay, how's the page going to load in the experience editor? This is still a constant way of our thinking. When the idea of a headless CMS, my company's website has been on headless CMS for the past, I think, 3 years now. I don't even think or care about how the website or how the page is looking when I'm updating a page. All we think about is a front end just built our next JS website and we need to feed that content. In campaigns, the client that I'm working with, we have our main website and we're thinking about building a campaigns website. We've done it. And the direction that we went out, because we're with XP, is to go GSS, to go headless. And the whole idea was, I don't want to spend that much of time and resources to perfect a landing page using XP. I want something quick. I want something that allows content author to build these pages quickly, to be lightweight, be able to add it, remove it whenever my campaigns end, or as a micro website. So Content Hub 1 or a headless CMS from on that kind of a scale, because again, you might come and say XM Cloud is a headless CMS. True. But if you don't operate on the enterprise level, there is no need to go up to XM Cloud. You can stay with the Content Hub 1. So this is a new addition or a new discipline that Sitecore tried to cover. But again, just look into that. And finally, with the Content Hub operations, the whole idea is around building your content strategy, ideation, workflows. It's about your marketing team just sitting down and say, I want to create a campaign landing page. I want to create a landing. I want to handle the assets this way, that way, and all of that. So look into all of these. Once you take visualization out of the equation, it's going back to building a proper content, a proper content model, a proper content object. And this content can be designed, produced to match or to work with whatever channel you work with. In the past couple of years, and I think I can talk about it from experience, just like in the past 15 years, everyone was always thinking about how it's going to look like in my website. And recently, things has changed, as I might be showing this content in a kiosk at the airport. I might be showing this as part of augmented reality. Like everyone with the new technologies, you'd love to experiment. If you're a cosmetic website and you want to show your products like in L'Oreal and stuff like that, you want to engage your customers when they look into these things. This is where only working or building or designing for a website for a single channel is no longer the premise. So let's take a look. I'm just comparing two, which is XM Cloud versus Content Hub 1. On that sense, from an architecture level, but you can get the gist of it even when you compare it to a headless. And again, think about it from what we've just talked about so far. So you have a CMS. So in case of XM Cloud, you have your cloud native SaaS. In case of the Content Hub 1, you have your headless. Everything is API first. This is what you guys covered in composable sessions before, right? Everyone is going with Mac, so it's microservices. So every single aspect of my system is broken into a smaller component. This component can be added and can be removed based on my need. Everything is API first. API first is serving one of the most needed kind of implementations. I know that when you think about how we traditionally build in Sitecore within the XP, what we think about is Helix, right? This is the first thing that we can think of. Okay, where's my modules going to go in the feature layer? What's going to be put in my foundation and into my project? While if we think about working with multiple channel, or forget about that, being able to always build your tech stack for a future proof, you always think about separating your presentation from your business. So the ABI kind of approach, which is building a separate .NET Core application that's managed by an ABI manager, right? That's going to define which ABI is going to be called to serve what kind of content, can be leveraged within your Helix project for a presentation, or can be leveraged by a mobile application that's used to do that. So if we look into this, we can see even the CMS itself is consuming an ABI kind of an abstraction layer. It's not built within the CMS itself. It's consumed by the CMS. So far we've talking about content separation. So your content can be stored anywhere. We're talking about microservices or components or building modules. And we're talking within the same platform, not even saying like we're having XM Cloud plus CDB plus personalized. No, within the individual platform, the concept is implemented and you can build the same in your XP. We've been doing this. I remember I've worked on with a car dealer maybe 6 years ago. And we went with this approach since then. We had all of the business in a .NET Core application that also can be integrated by a legacy system. They had like a desktop application to get all of the car details or the features, what's available is not. And through the APIs, we would connect that to our uh, Helix. It was at the time, it's just like we're starting Helix implementations. So you can start with that today. You don't have to be on XM Cloud. You don't have to be on any of the SaaS product. Just always think when you do the implementation, think about how that future can be. The future might not be Mac, right? Not everyone's going to go there. The future might not be SaaS, but the future definitely will allow you to integrate with as much as you can. This is what these concepts in its abstract definition works, because it doesn't, we're not talking about how to write the code when we build the API. It's about breaking the layer, the abstraction, and then you can manage whatever you want. You might write a Java in an API, I don't know, whatever works for you, right? And then cloud, everything is on the cloud with the caveat that you still have customers that within the regulation won't even go to a bus, right? They don't go to any cloud offering. There's always a need to have something on the side. Don't always have to jump to cloud. It's what you recommend unless your customer doesn't work because of that. And then finally, what do we say? Headless. And headless comes, if you look into both, is pretty much similar because both of them works with the premise of having headless CMS and a headless implementation. And you have with XP a CMS with a headless implementation. And the main difference between the two is within XP, you can build your your head, which is like Next.js app or Angular, right? You're relying on GraphQL or GSS APIs and the layout service to connect with um with Sitecore with the CMS, but the CMS itself is still having all of the APIs baked within our solution. While with the headless CMS, everything is built in a headless way. So even the CMS is headless, communicates with everything via APIs. You have a connector to the media. You have a connector for the edge to deliver. This is the replacement for CD. And same thing goes with the XM Cloud. I don't want to spend much time And these I know like the gist of it you guys already have, and I want to just jump into the demo and look through that, or just like explore Sitecore demo in that sense. But the what I want to go back and reiterate on, and I'm just took this out of the Content Hub one because um, that that platform, or let's say that product, because it's a completely headless CMS, is truly focusing on content modeling, on data modeling. So this is for us to really understand and go back just a step back. Why, when we used to create templates, we would say use inheritance and don't add extra fields in a template that the customer might not, or a content author might not use, right? And same thing with content modeling. It's taking a step back and say, don't think about what kind of channel is going to consume your content. I'm not gonna go to my template and say show hide icon. I'm not gonna go to the template and say use a background to be white or to be red, right? Remember, we used to have, we not used to, we do have parameter template to take care of that. This is what we use to say, make a distinction where which templates or which aspects when you build your components you want to handle content, and which aspect gonna handle the UI, the interface. So this concept started since we've been introduced to SXA and has been evolving until we ended up with these SaaS products. So none of these concepts are new to us. So once you jump into any of these products, it should be business as usual. The caveat would be just take out the presentation layer. Just don't think when you build a model, when you build your template, when you think about a validation, okay, how the website is going to validate that, or how the mobile app will validate that. That's a total different team or entity that's going to take over that challenge and think about it. Your job is to take a step back. You, as the architect or as the developer or the Sitecore developer on the team, you should be thinking about what's my content architecture or infrastructure. Oh, it's architecture. What kind of content I am going to build or model in this sense. And then they can use like XML Cloud to do the design. That's nice. If they don't, they have Content Hub One to do that. That's also nice. And the same concepts applies to XP. And this is why with every release of an XP version, it says it's a future or it's compatible with XML Cloud. This makes the migration or the move towards something like XML Cloud easy from the vantage point um, of Sitecore. So I'm just gonna skip directly to the demo, hopefully. Just refresh. And I basically just did spin up the Blade demo that comes from Sitecore. Um, I've went to the XML Cloud just because I wanted to showcase the differences between this separation or how you look into future design and implementation moving forward, which is think about content first and orchestrating a page in terms of design, and everything comes next. So we do have the Blair website. So let me open that. Close everything. So let's refresh. And this is if I look into the CMS is Sitecore Experience Platform. They're using GraphQL for everything. It's an XJS application. It uses Experience Edge for caching. So basically, and it's hosted on Vercel. So it's a completely headless website built using Next.js on top of XM Cloud and using caching through Sitecore Experience Edge. It's lightweight. We all know like the benefits of going headless. I don't want to go through that, but I want to go through the Launchpad. With XM Cloud and And this is um, honestly like a nice thing I've learned about it. And I thought that it's completely beneficial for us. Not this one. I don't want to see this one. Where is it? Let's see. No, I want to go to Excel Cloud sites. Okay. I was just experimenting by launching a website. Basically, you can create a site, you can use an empty basic or choose out of a template. And this is just basically reminds us with SXA, right? You can scaffold any website if you have a multi-site kind of an environment. So think about it again. The concept is the same. We're just changing a little bit of terminology and we have a new interface and all of that, but there's nothing much you have to think about. Now, these two options are my favorite. I'm going to start with the Explorer. So the Explorer aspect of XM Cloud is similar to with um, Content Hub 1 in the sense of when you look into this, this is what we call a headless CMS. So I don't think about how my website, my page is going to look like. I don't think and I don't care about page orchestration. All I think about how to build a page, how to create a model, and put all of my information there. So this is where we start to shift our way of thinking. So for example, this one is the home page. Let me get into some landing pages. I want to look into speakers. And as you go through this and go into the interface, besides being very lightweight and just clean, all I think about is the content. So if I look into this speaker, I have a base metadata. Honestly, I wouldn't think about putting this here because now I'm thinking about the website. But again, designing is the same because it's going to select a page design. Page design, this just take us back to the concept of SXA. So if you have worked with SXA before, whatever you're doing in here is just pretty much business as usual. I didn't go and have a session on how XML Cloud works. You can just navigate the website and have all of these understanding. My main interest is in this data. So I will put everything within my data in here. And the nice thing when we think about these is when you create your model, you put everything there. Before we would think about, okay, I'm going to break this speaker page down into multiple data sources. And this data source will be used to populate this section in the page. Or this data source, I'm going to use it for related sessions or related speakers. This is just us thinking about page level template. All of your pages, all of your models should follow that. Yes, there is some design concepts that you need to keep in mind, such as reusability, but there is some practices we used to do in NXP might no longer be applicable here. Why? Because if I am going to send this information over to a kiosk where they can see during a symposium the information about the speaker, I don't care about showing this image at the top of the page or make it align left or right because I have a flexibility in the design aspect of a page. All they are expecting from me is a JSON file with all of the information. So your mindset will always think about uh, what is my model consists of. I think I had this kind of it's not revelation, but rather okay. When I've started to learn more about different headless CMSs, when we do the comparison with Sitecore and Sitecore, and this was the first thing that hit the most is that um, you have to think about everything from the aspect of all channels. I don't care about how it's going to look like in the website. You still have same concepts of versions, right? I can create a version. I can go through a workflow. it gives me all the information that I needed. If I go to details, I will get the name of the fields. These are the names that can be populated within the GraphQL file that can be consumed by your head, like the Next.js app or your Angular or whatever. So the whole idea within the Explorer is just to take the design out, build your content, build your model just to fit almost anything. Even if I look into, uh, yeah, session, same thing. I want to look into a page. If I go to this folder, it just gives you the basic information. Uh, Sessions, same thing. There is nothing beyond title and description or content, which we typically know with anything. Anything beyond that, this is just choosing, because still this is within the XM cloud. We're seeing these kind of sections for designing or for the page metadata, right? But if I'm doing this in Content Hub 1, I want to be seeing these sections, or I won't be even implementing them because I don't have a preview mode within the CMS. My preview mode is using an API. Um, and my Next.js will be using the preview API instead of the delivery API to show content. So the Explorer is good one for your novice content authors, for those who are not advanced enough, for content editor basically who are responsible for just populating content. That's going to be the easiest to view. It's not complicated. It's a cleaner. I had to say, like in XP, when they just go to the content editor and author everything there, not in the experience editor, but basically it's a kind of a WYSIWYG WordPress kind of an experience. So it's very easy, straight to the point, and you can get all of the information you need there. If you have multiple websites, that's going to go within this tree. It actually reminds me as well with the Horizon interface, because everything is almost lightweight. Imagine the experience editor load with this speed. That's going to be miraculous. Anyway, so pages is still within the same concept. So I do have my page. So this is, for example, let's see the speakers because we've discussed that. So I'm going to go to the speaker page, but the difference now is my ability to view, to scaffold, to see how this page will look like in the browser. This is also like kind of separating between your content authors with those who are able to, build these pages. Again, same kind of experience, nothing has changed. Just give this even to your experienced content authors who has been working with XP for ages. Share with them this interface. It's going to be business as usual. Again, it reminds me with Horizon, you still have all the different aspects of the administration. If I go to templates, I will have my data templates, in this case, my page. If I go to the fields, I can still see the representation of all of my pages, like in a kind of a Sitecore tree representation. Even if I go to the content tree, I'm going to click on scaffold or create, my options are the same. Headless site collection, headless site. This is the demo test that I've created. It's using the same underlying PowerShell scripts in that sense that we had when we built SXA, because this is almost the same. If I go to settings, no modules, JavaScript, you'll see the layout service there, the JavaScript services out there. Uh, the difference is these, because there's this instance integration, it has a connection to Content Hub. So I have an integration with the DAM and the BIM. But almost you have the JSS SXA and the SXA out in a play. So you if we are going to reflect what we have been doing with XP till now and look into um, XM Cloud or look into the SaaS offering and from that sense, it's around making sure when, even if as of today, you have to build an XP kind of and implementation, and maybe if you're convinced with XM Cloud 5, 10 years along the way, or you're doing an upgrade, or you're just fixing the technical debt, just think about that the backend or the underlying infrastructure of these SaaS product are basically a normal XP tree. And when you build your pages, when you build your templates, when you build everything like this, just go back to the same kind of a content first approach, build your templates within that guideline. Once you go to XM Cloud, the upgrade is going to be easy. It's going to be seamless. The concept of pages or the concept of, if I go back to components, it's page design and partial design. Remember in SXA, we used to build um a component like a rendering variant. And this variant uh, static components. This is just basically similar to the drag and drop experience that you have. I'm going to go to the section, drag and drop a teaser, and see where in the page I can put this one. No, it's not going to work. Okay. um, yeah. Anyway, but the idea is everything that we are looking now, it looks shiny. It looks like it's a whole different thing. It's actually aligned with everything that we have been doing with Sitecore so far. Just keep that in mind. Make sure everything you build is consistent, and whether you end up just being with XP or you are going to move to XM Cloud or Content Hub 1, it's as easy as the same concepts that we have, nothing has changed. This is why we don't have to think about it as this SaaS product is going to completely, just replace whatever we have been doing so far. It rather allows you as a developer or as an architect to think about your entire ecosystem. Think about, okay, what kind of implementation we have, what kind of integration we have, and what is the best way to do that without having to worry that, the page takes forever to load in the experience editor. And every time I load it in the experience editor, I have all of these JavaScript errors that I get because my JSS application is not checking for any conflicts within the jQuery we are using on the website. Whatever these small details, it takes you out of worrying about all of these issues that we have been dealing with for the past, I don't know, 20 years, and just makes everyone to think about, okay, I don't care about the interface. I don't care what kind of technology you're gonna use. I don't know. I've seen some plugins already developed on ChatGPT that allows us to convert the CS HTML files into a complete front-end library, right? Just build that to you on Next.js or whatever. It's about understanding the background, the infrastructure, the architecture. This is gonna stay the same. Looks fancy, XM Cloud looks fancy, the backend or behind the scene, it's XP as we learned it, as we know it, but it's built in a way that's future proof. So always making sure it's around modeling the right content. It's about modeling the right pieces of content that can be reused, and then everything else is just, yeah, because I'm building this for the website, I'm going into my pages and just doing things this way. If I am building this for my mobile app and the Explorer, that is enough. I don't have to care about the alignment of this image. When I add my text and when I add my images, my carousel, my text is gonna be on top of her face or on this section of the page. You don't have to be worrying about these details. These details comes second after you actually build the right thing, and then everything else is just to fill in the blanks. Um, Again, with XM Cloud, you have all of these fancy stuff about the out of the box personalization things. I'm not going to cover this because we're just thinking about content um, or the content cloud from that perspective. Uh, Look into this is the XM Cloud dashboard. It's no different than our XP dashboard. Just different names with the introduction of forms. Now we have forms section that you go and explore and have a look at. Um, Again, for me, I don't think about this as something new. It's the same terminology. Maybe sorry, different terminology. It's the same backend, same concept. And from our perspective, just look into these as options. Again, just thinking about the idea of once I went, yeah, it's gonna take me forever to go back now, but let's see. If I look into this section where I have my details for Edge or for my XM Cloud or Content Hub integration or Content Hub One or my code or Sitecore Send, all of these are modules I can just plug in, take it out, the underlying integration, all APIs. My content, my way of doing things are built around content models. And then whatever comes in, they want to go with the headless. They want to even connect this to your XP. It's the same experience. Nothing has changed. It's just had the facelift. It's now shifted all the responsibility on the cloud, on a SaaS provider. And all we need to, think about is what my customer wants, what kind of options that they have now, given all of these different options, and then it just fit in. And that's it for me. This is what I just wanted to share with everyone. Is just lots of concerns about okay, with all of these SaaS products, lots of clients who are not even considering moving that. They want to make sure that they are not missing up on anything, but at the same time, they're hesitant to jump and move on into something like SaaS because they had the history with Sitecore or with integration with all of that. It's just, think about it as you have multiple options to choose that's going to match what your customer needs. You don't have to push for one product over the other. You have to evaluate and think about what makes sense to their business needs because at the end of the day, as you've seen, all the underlying technology and infrastructure are the same, but each one of those just serve um, a different goal or a different target. And that's it for me. Thank you.
Do we have any questions from anyone? Okay, I think we don't have any questions. Thank you, Ishraq, for the great session and taking us through your experience on helping Sitecore developers and architects to choose the right offering in Sitecore Content Cloud based on the customer requirements. I think it was very informative and helpful, given a lot of options which are being provided by Sitecore right now. Thanks a lot.
For sure. And thank you guys for having me again. You know where to find me if you have any questions. But other than that, hopefully, you just get something in you during this session. And hopefully, we all are having the same kind of expectations and understanding, and that the next time we look into these offerings, we just don't feel that need to just recommend the any of these products because that's not the intention. All you need to do is think about your customers and recommend based on what you know is beneficial for them. And thanks again for having me. Have you all have a good rest of your day.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you to all the participants who attended this session. Have a nice day and rest of the evening, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.